Hi, this is a channel about orc-bound stories. Today I am going to tell you the story about the human who led an orc army against the galaxy. Before this story begins, know one thing. Someone, somewhere, made a choice they were never supposed to make. The universe did not stop them. It never does. What followed was not fate, not accident, not miracle. It was consequence, and consequences, unlike prompts, always arrive. The year was 23rd 89. The sun was dying, not slowly, the way scientists had predicted for billions of years. It was dying fast, a phenomenon no textbook had ever described, no simulation had ever modeled it. Solar output had dropped by 31% in 18 months. Crops were failing. Oceans were cooling. Governments were dissolving. Earth had 11 years left, maybe less, because the cold made the surface uninhabitable. Dr. Sheriff was stood at the observation window of Helios Station, her face lit by fading amber glow of the star. She had decided her life to studying. She was 44 years old, rail thin, with silver straight hair. She never bothered to cut. Her eyes were the color of deep space, not black, not blue, but something between. Something that made people uncomfortable when she stared too long. She was the only person who had an answer. Sheriff, speaking to the empty room, recording a personal log. Day 1420 on station. The collapse is accelerating. I have run the Vos Meridian model 11,000 times. The result is always the same. The only way to reignite the solar core is to introduce a synchronized quantum resonance pulse directly into the chromosphere. The energy required is beyond any machine humanity has ever built. She paused, looked at her hands. But a human brain, augmented correctly, could generate it. One person wired into the star itself, a living antenna, a human touch. Oh, a human touch. Her assistant, a younger engineer named Dax Ariel, entered without knocking. He was 26, brilliant, loyal, and currently terrified. Dax. Sheriff, the council denied your proposal again. They are calling it suicide. They are calling it. Sheriff. Science. Dax. They are calling it science they don't understand yet. Dex. They are calling it instantly. She turned from the window. Her expression was not anger. It was something colder, something decided. Sheriff? Then I won't ask them again. That night, she began the surgery on herself. No anesthetic, no team, just a neural interface kit she had spent 4 years secretly designing, and a mirror so she could see what she was doing. And a mirror so she could see what she was doing. She implanted 17 quantum resonance nodes along her cerebral cortex, her spine, and both palms. She screamed twice. Then she stopped screaming, because screaming used energy she needed. By morning, she was no longer entirely human. She could feel the solar wind like a second heartbeat. She smiled for the first time in months. The vessel was never designed to go this close. Aquarius 9 was a research probe modified hastily to carry one human passenger inside a reinforced thermal pod. The pod's walls were 12 inches of tungsten ceramic composite. The temperature outside as they descended through in Corona exceeded 2 million degrees Celsius. Inside the pod, it was a relatively comfortable 41. Dex was piloting from Helios station via remote link. He had not slept in 30 hours. Dex. Sheriff, you are at 94% solar radius. The heat shields are holding, but I am reading microfractures in Sector 7. If they... Sheriff? They won't matter in a few minutes. Dex? What does that mean? Sheriff. It's mean stop worrying about the ship. She could feel it now. The solar core, pulsing like a second heart beneath her. The quantum nodes in her skull were vibrating so fast that they produced a low hum she could hear in her teeth. Her vision had shifted. She no longer saw light the way humans did. She saw frequency. She saw energy ribbons threading through the plasma like rivers of sound. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever witnessed. Sheriff. Internal monologue. No poet has ever seen this. No painter. The sun is not a fire. It is a conversation. Protons arguing with gravity. Electrons whispering to magnetic field. Plasma dancing in spirals that follow rulers older than Earth. And I am about to speak into the conversation for the first time. She reached the target depth. The chromosphere was below her now. She placed both palms flat against the pod's inner wall and closed her eyes. The nodes activated, all 17 at once. The pain was extraordinary, a white, total, architectural pain that felt less like suffering and more like translation. Her body was becoming a signal. Her Her thoughts were becoming frequency. Her memory, her voice, her love, her grief. All of it converted into a quantum pulse that began to travel outward from her mind, downward through the plasma, inward toward the dying core. Dex, voice breaking. Dex. Sheriff, I am reading an energy spike. It's enormous. It's working. It's actually. The ship's cameras went white. Then the sun, for the first time in 18 months, brightened. Not flickered, not pulsed, brightened. Steadily, warmly, like a sleeping giant slowly opening its eyes. Solar output jumped 18% in 4 minutes, then 27%. Scientists across the space station reported the readings strenuously. Each one convinced their instruments were broken. They were not broken.